Okay, so welcome to my lecture on Calvino's Marcovaldo. I think Calvino offers so much as a writer for young developing students who have an interest in English, especially standard and advanced, probably even extension to an extent, I think. So, I put this under the craft of writing, but I think Calvino, especially Marcovaldo, this set of short stories, would be excellent as a related text for identity, or just as an introductory text if you don't think that related text will be used in this year's HSC, or even the human experience. So I think this particular writer offers so much scope for young students who have a genuine passion for writing. So what I'm going to do now is just go through some analysis of two short stories that I like in the Marcovaldo series. So just follow on and let me break this down for you. Mushrooms in the City. The undenying and profound strength of nature and its connection to humanity reverberates through chapter 1, Mushrooms in the City. Marcovaldo undergoes a therapeutic regeneration in humanity as he exposes the errors of his ways and learns to love again. You see, many people just look at the poison mushrooms in this text and sort of, look at this metaphor of how postmodern Italy is going in a way which the FLANEUR never likes. But I think we can dig a bit deeper in this particular short story, so just follow on with me on this one. Calvino takes aim at a postmodern Italy and the urban direction it is taking throughout this text, confronting the responder with a soft and delicate metaphor, feather trapped by a roof tile, promoting his distaste for the loss in cultural values and the redirection and attitudinal shift that Italy is going through. In this instance, the beauty of nature, whilst not dead, has been damaged by his country's overwhelming quest for growth and expansion. At the same time, the responder can reflect on their own attitudinal changes and shifts from a result of political change or societal redirection in their own lives, and in many ways connect with the protagonist Marcovaldo himself. Calvino increases his resentment even further towards the end of this chapter or short story, as his narrative of the mushrooms, his passion and enthusiasm for how nature gives and society gives back is clearly explored in this chapter. He illuminates the notion of humanity's codependence with the beauty of the physical environment and how it is rapidly being eroded. Calvino attempts to demonstrate how the civilians of his town are undergoing a distasteful change in what they value and how they treat their fellow man. Calvino attempts to connect a postmodern Italian change with feelings of jealousy and aggression. Ironically, the move towards an urbanized Italy is expediting a regression in values. Quote, "That discovery, which has filled his heart with universal love, now made him wildly possessive." One might claim that the simple mushroom may be trivial. However, Calvino testifies that it has a place in this world, and when given the opportunity, it gives back. The responder has a clear understanding that the mushrooms will be poisonous, and at the conclusion of the story, however, that does not change Marcovaldo's development as a character. So what I'm trying to say here is that don't just follow the standardized narrative in terms of, so the mushrooms are poisonous. Let's look at the character for a moment. He grows in this story as a human being who has seen the disastrous effects of urban expansion, but realizes the true value in nature and the beauty of life. He pleads with the reader to understand his plight as Marcovaldo is confronted by his decrease in moral fiber and exclaims, "Do you want to eat fried mushrooms?" The reader has gone through a gamut of emotions, observing the protagonist lose his humanity and in the same chapter grasp it to undergo and to attain the beauty of what it is to be human, but to a greater extent, what it is to be completely rounded. So in this instance, you see that Marcovaldo, even though the mushrooms are poisonous, he went in a certain direction. He saw the errors of his ways. He came back and learned to love again, and he offered the mushrooms. That is the positive. That's the humanity you want to see in it. I know you can take this in a completely different way and look at the poisonous mushrooms and the connection to a postmodern Italy, but there's also so much character development, and it's also, you must learn to be unique when you write analysis pieces, even in the HSC. Okay, so moving along, this is the second text that I'll be looking at. It's called Spring, Where the River is More Blue. The short story Spring, Where the River is More Blue aims to destruct the once known beauty of a European spring. The critical use of a rhetorical question in the title challenges the responder to think and re-evaluate the true identity of a postmodern European spring season. The first paragraph in many ways confronts a responder with a macabre, dark, fraudulent veil of darkness, as Calvino's Saint-Hilaire portrays his once loved produce from a grocery trip as, quote, vegetables the arsenic of insecticides. There is no denying the anger and frustration of Calvino in this paragraph. His unique style, which we're so accustomed to, has now transcended into a sense of despondency, as the responder has also now transcended and has come to a realization about the shift in Italian political values through the flaneur of his protagonist. In this particular story, the protagonist aims to go fishing, and in many ways, his hunt for the perfect fishing spot is an extended metaphor for an Italy that is now lost to him. In many ways, if you want to look at this as a text for identity, this is the perfect point where his search for Italy is actually a search for himself. The search for an Italy that he's lost, that is lost to him, is actually a search for the man that is lost to inside of him. And in many ways, he's searching for his identity back. And I like this text for identity. I think it works well for the new HSC 2019 syllabus. Anyway, let's continue with the analysis. In connection to this, the symbolism that Calvino tries to portray in the line, the water flowed farthest from the paved road. This particular example of symbolism highlights that the paved road is a symbol of degeneration of nature, and that his quest for pure water can only be quenched by a stream that is removed from urbanization. The critical use of juxtaposition, quote, his stubbornness was rewarded, highlights that Marcovaldo's life is a paradox, full of inconsistency, while simultaneously the responder retains a true understanding about the beauty of life, in which, in essence, is the paradox of Marcovaldo's plight. The responder realizes the value of the flaneuristic lifestyle, which has so much value now in hindsight. As you know, in many ways, some people didn't like the flaneur, so I thought that I might add that in because it is in hindsight that we see the value of the flaneur. Marcovaldo's unwavering passion for the Italy he once loved is exemplified in his search for the perfect fishing spot, and once found, the tragedy that confronts our protagonist is heartbreaking as he's let down by his country again. The responder has aligned themselves with the emotional high of the protagonist, catching a multitude of fish, and is overjoyed for Marcovaldo's find. However, just like the constant change of postmodern Italy, the danger will always be lurking, and in some of Calvino's most triumphant depictions, Marcovaldo's beautiful oasis of a spring lake is full of fish is dismantled into a poisonous trench. In this instance, Calvino illustrates the metaphor of the growing snowball effect of political change that has been evaluated by the nature of the flaneur exhibited by Marcovaldo, and that is a river that was so full of life is now engulfed in poison, much like the beautiful society of people that lived in the townships that filled his hearts. Well, there you go. That was my breakdown of these two particular short stories. If you have greatly differing views, please make a comment. I'd love to hear from other analysis pieces. So from that point, keep tuned. Thank you.
Please subscribe.